One of the reasons so few trust the mainstream media is that so many refuse to accept and admit their biases. They insist that they're just neutral observers focusing on the facts. At least at Fox News, their primetime folks admit that they're basically in the tank for the GOP. They speak at conservative events, and many just outright admit that they support Republicans and will bash President Biden at any opportunity. But most of the left-leaning media and the left-wing media insist they just play it straight. They play this game of trying to pretend that they aren't biased, even on a network as left-leaning as MSNBC. The network's president, Rashida Jones, in an industry function on Wednesday, actually said, quote, "Rather than looking at a political culture or political perspective, what we focus on is the truth. Are the angles that we're hitting representative of truth and democracy and the rights of humans across the board? We can get stuck into both sides for a fair amount, or however you look at it." Well, the way I look at it is that they absolutely look at political perspective and only share one. Back in 2020, Chuck Todd made the claim to MSNBC's viewers that his network's daytime programming just plays it right down the middle.
And just a reminder, for what it's worth, there is no editorial point of view here on any of these newscasts on MSNBC in the daytime.
In the daytime qualifier, but still. And the host currently on top of that network's ratings, Ari Melber, who's very smart and very good at what he does and also very liberal, also insisted that his show is nonpartisan on Wednesday in an interview with Aidan McLaughlin of Mediaite.com, which I founded.
You can be passionately politically opinionated, but you can also have a deep passion that comes through and is not rooted in any partisan lens. So I think our show is very passionate about a whole range of important subjects that we cover, and I hope that comes through. But I think we, as you said, we definitely do not try to traffic in a partisan or team approach to stuff.
Now, I believe that he and others at MSNBC would say they don't try to traffic in it, but they do. Watch any of the MSNBC shows and you'll see the same stories night after night. When will Donald Trump be indicted? Why hasn't he been indicted already? January 6th Commission. January 6th Commission subpoenas. Police brutality. It's a formula, and it's sort of working for MSNBC. But there's a reason that I try to share with all of you what I think on each story. It's so you can decide for yourself whether you agree. No hidden biases. I do have opinions on almost all the stories we cover, and I don't want to play games where I pretend to just be neutral. Sometimes I agree with a left-leaning position, other times with a right-leaning one, and it's not always going to be equal. It will depend on the stories. But it's why we have so many guests here, where my first question is, what am I getting wrong? Transparency is the foundation on which journalism is built, except when it applies to them. And this lack of transparency or self-awareness about their own beliefs is a big part of the reason why the public's trust in media has eroded so much. Joining me now is Aiden McLaughlin, editor-in-chief of Mediaite.com, which I founded. He's also the host of the Interview podcast, where he has interviewed just about every major news media figure on both sides of the aisle. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
So, am I being unfair in saying that the left is more in denial here?
I don't think you're necessarily being unfair. I think there are a lot of reasons why mainstream media or left-leaning media are less transparent about their opinions and their beliefs than right-wing media or right-leaning media are. I think it probably has to do with the fact that right-leaning media was built as a response to what they saw as left-wing bias in the mainstream media, right? So Fox News and all of these right-leaning blogs were started as a response to that bias that they saw. So by definition, those networks and those outlets and those magazines started by saying, okay, we are conservative, we're transparent and open about it, and we're responding to this left-wing bias in the mainstream media. And I think it's taking a long time for mainstream media to realize, okay, well, maybe there are biases that we have that might lean us to the left. And you saw this during the Trump years, I think, more acutely than any time before that. There was a study that recently came out that found that MSNBC and CNN took a sharp turn to the left, sharper than Fox News did. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I think Fox News was more opinionated and more right-leaning than MSNBC, and certainly CNN was before that. But the fact remains that these networks pretty much abandoned all pretense of objectivity during those years, for better or for worse.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.